So with the UK finally getting its official release of the hotly anticipated Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, myself and Big G Jamie here have been hammering it all week. Now before we get into the review, let me just say I am a massive Smash Bros. Fan. Melee is one of my all-time favourite games, and I fell into the camp of people that also love Brawl despite its departure from the competitive scene. Jamie is less of a fan.
That is one way to say it.
And so we're both going to review the game from both the perspectives of a fan and a non-fan.
It's almost like that's our formula or something.
Yep. So, to give you a brief overview if you don't know, Smash Bros. Is a fighting game featuring a host of iconic characters from Nintendo's gaming history, as well as a couple of extra guests. The aim of the game is just to knock your opponent off the stage. As you hit your opponents, their damage percentage will rise and make them easier to knock out, meaning that in certain high damage scenarios, any one hit could suddenly end the game. It also now supports up to 8 players, which is 4 higher than the last Smash Bros. Title. So obviously, through the review, we'll go a bit more in depth with the mechanics, but I'd like to start first with a question directed towards you, Jamie. And that is, quite simply, what do you think of it?
It is most certainly a game.
Any further points to add to that one?
Nope, that's it. It's a game. 2 out of 10.
And it's a game that...
Okay, fine. Seriously, I really, really want to like these games. I see how much you're into them, and, well, I kind of wish that I could enjoy anything that much. I was hoping this was going to be the Smash game that lets me see what you see in the franchise, but it just isn't.
So, you don't like it?
No, I never said that. Even though that is true. It's not a bad game, objectively speaking. It's actually a very good game. It just couldn't be less for me if it tried. I'm not particularly a Nintendo fan, so I'm not able to get that excited feeling at playing one of these characters. I get the concept, and I understand why it's so cool, but it just doesn't work for me. I guess it comes down to gameplay. Again, I recognise that there's nothing actually wrong with it. It just doesn't sit right for me. I'm not big on fighters at the best of times, but the departure from the health bar formula that this game uses just sort of turns me off even more. I don't hate this game, it's just not something I would go out of my way to play. It's a 10-minute distraction game for me. I was hoping this new Smash would change my mind, but it's the same problem I have with most other fighting games. Smash Bros. It has its formula, it has its fan base, and it's content to just live in that bubble. Like, until that bubble expands, it's just not for me. I reckon you, being the massive Smash Bros. Fan that you are, can't wait to disagree with me.
And you'd be absolutely correct there. To me, Smash Bros. Is genuinely like revolutionary. Like, Nintendo really reinvented the fighter on this one. For decades, fighters were restricted to one-on-one, sort of pick your character, take out their health bars fair, but suddenly Nintendo just stepped in and went, nah, none of this health bars nonsense. Let's scrap this only 2 fighters on a screen thing and all. Oh, and while we're at it, why don't we add platforming mechanics to the fighting genre? That'll work, right? And, like, surprisingly enough, it totally did. The fact that this was originally intended to be a party game and has burst into the competitive scene and became this massive multi-million selling franchise is testament just to how much the gameplay resonated with players, and to this day there's nothing else like it. There's been imitators, but they all fall painfully short of hitting the mark. Nintendo really does have a winning formula here, and no one else has sussed it out yet. And in my opinion, Smash 4 for Wii U is just another solid gold entry into this now legendary franchise. It's an instant classic for me, and the new additions have for the most part proven to be extremely good. The roster's larger than it's ever been with 49 characters and only a couple of clones this time around. The addition of 8-player Smash, while an absolute mess on the smaller stages, is surprisingly functional on the big maps, and in true Smash form it just plays as smooth as butter. I mean, hell, you even managed to have fun with it quite a few times.
Yeah, that is true, but that was multiplayer, and I'm very much of the thought that you can enjoy any game in multiplayer just for the experience of playing it with others. Smash as a single-player experience is a chore. Especially this one, since it's devoid of any sort of adventure mode like the previous 2 had.
Yeah, to be fair, that is a valid criticism that I also had. The single-player element in this game is very basic in a lot of ways. It's not that there's nothing there. It's just that, well, there's nothing wrong with the arcade-like one fight after another fight nature of classic and all-star modes. It's simply never going to be as fun as playing other people. The reintroduction of event mode, which was absent from the 3DS version, isn't always excellent inclusion, however.
Okay, I'll admit, I got the occasional kick out of event mode, but again, this is mostly in the multiplayer component. Like, the Crazy Hand Master Hand mode should have been interesting too, but it wasn't what I'd hoped for. In these modes, you basically tackle a series of challenges and gain prizes as you go. If you lose at any point, you lose all of those prizes. Master Hand has a set number of bouts, but Crazy Hand has a fairly cool mechanic where at any point you can go straight into fighting him, and on his defeat you cash in all your prizes. Now the whole risk-reward thing comes into play where the more challenges you take on, the harder it gets, which sounds interesting, but it doesn't carry any weight. The big rewards here are customization items, me clothes, and trophies. They are not things I care about, so this mode was a complete write-off for me as well. Though I will say, in the interests of fairness, that the customization options available are a nice addition to the series.
Yeah, I also think the customization option is cool, but generally out of preference I've tended to go with the standard rollouts, since, as you might have heard, customization can't be used online. Speaking of online though, I've been having a great time with that. I've seen a few complaints saying that it's laggy, but in the matches I've played, which are generally admittedly one-on-one ranked matches, everything has operated really smoothly. One thing I was really disappointed by was Smash Tour though.
Oh god, yeah, that thing. Ugh, hated that. It's basically a board game where you control a Mii that goes around collecting fighters and winning them from other players. Then at the end you all have a fight with the characters you've collected. Now on paper this sounds loads of fun, but in execution it is absolutely terrible. Especially when you consider the potential this had as a like Mario Party kind of minigame.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It didn't even have to be anything amazing, but I at least expected better than what we got. The idea of a Smash board game mode just sounded superb to me. It just sounds like an idea that works. I had this thought in my head that when it was rumours that if it was executed to its very best, it could be insanely special. Like imagine Dokapon Kingdom, but battles would take on the form of Smash fights. Like I'd play the hell out of that. Unfortunately, Smash Tour isn't that. It's just a messy, clumsy, slapped together mess. I'm all for finding joy in the chaotic, but this thing is chaotic to the point where you just can't see the fun in it. For me, this is just a needless extra though on an otherwise near perfect product.
Ooh, okay, well if you're going to be making claims like that, I'm going into nitpick mode, so you can agree with me more. 3DS connectivity, but only on certain game modes. Now, I know you said you've played so much Smash on the 3DS that the system had recently become your controller of choice, which, as an aside, is something I never thought I'd hear you say, being such a GameCube controller elitist.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
Yeah, but surely you must have to concede that this is a mark against the game that you cannot use the 3DS in any other modes but multiplayer battles.
Yeah, that's either a painful oversight or a terrible design decision, or maybe just a way for them to rush it to market. Either way, it just shouldn't be the case. I mean, in many ways the game isn't without its flaws, but what game is? In my mind, it's still a likely contender for my personal game of the year. The physics feel like a nice midpoint in speed between both Melee and Brawl, and the roster is the very best that it has ever been, except they should totally bring back Lucas, goddammit, but that's an aside.
Well, it won't be my game of the year, but it may end up being my favourite Smash to date, who knows. I find with fighters that, you know, takes a very long time before the full weight of the mechanics sink in. You know, there's a chance it will be, but ultimately that isn't saying much.
For me, this is a 10 out of 10 game on its fighting alone. The Smash Bros. Series was always my absolute favourite multiplayer game, and the new one proves no exception. Whether it's a big messy 8-player item fight or a one-on-one final destination bout, I'm never not totally immersed in the experience. It's very rare I get that with any other competitive title. I can't recommend this enough.
And on the opposite side of things, I can't recommend it at all. I want to. I can see there's something good, but I still can't recommend it because my whole experience with it is almost utter indifference. If you're part of the bubble, then, well, quite frankly, you've already bought the game and are currently writing a comment to tell me I'm wrong. If you've played Smash before and didn't like it, then you still won't like it. And if you haven't played any of them, the best thing I can recommend is to try a friend's copy or demo it somewhere. It might be that you end up falling into the TheGingerGeeks camp and absolutely adore it, but it's equally possible it's just not for you.
Okay guys, well, whether you agree with me or agree with the Big G, let me just say a very big thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed another episode of our 2 Geeks Game fan versus non-fan series, and if you'd like to see more great content, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe. We'll see you next time.